This is a production of WKNO Memphis. Production funding for Sports Files is made possible in part by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Today on Sports Files, I talked to members of the nationally ranked White Station High School boys basketball team. Last Saturday, the White Station Hoop team dropped their only game of the season to date, falling to the #1 team in the nation, Montverde Academy, in the finals of the Bass Pro Tournament of Champions event. Now, despite the loss, the Spartans are still the #6 ranked team in the nation in the USA Today Super 25 rankings. At 17-1, the Spartans are one of the favorites to win the Tennessee State Class 3A title, and barring a late season collapse, look to be a shoo-in to finish in the top 25 nationally. And this Saturday, they'll play fellow Memphis power Hamilton on ESPNU. Today, I go 1-on-3 with Spartans head coach Jesus Patino and senior standouts Chris Chiozza and LaRon Black. That's next on Sports Files. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. Jesus, let me start with you. What makes this Spartans team so special?
I think it's team chemistry. You know, I think they like each other on and off the court, and I think they decided to take that pressure of winning and decided, hey, we're going to have fun and we're going to play it hard. We're going to do the things that Coach asks us to do. We're going to be coachable, and we're just going to support each other for whatever happens. And I think it's translated into wins.
And I know last year left a little bit of a sour taste in your mouth the way it ended, so certainly everybody was determined to come back and make it a special year.
It was a decision that I always told them, in basketball, coaches only have so much control of what's going on. I said players have to make a decision, a choice. Do we want to do it the way Coach is saying, or are we going to continue to do, the way it's being inconsistent about how we play? And I think because they had that little bad taste last year, and I think they couldn't wait till the season started. You can tell, they went to the AAU summer, but they couldn't wait to go back because this was all business this year, and that's the mode we're in right now, all business.
LaRon, 7 seniors on this team. You're one of them. Chris is another. You guys are leaders out there. Why does it work so well? Why is there great chemistry between all these players?
Because we're just such good friends. Like, if you see any of us around, you're going to see a group of us together, 3 or 4 of us together. We such good friends that we just take that and use it on the court. And we've been playing together for multiple years now. Me, Chris, and Nick DeVale, we used to play together in the AAU with the Memphis War Eagles, and we just grown closer as a team, and we just feel like, we continue to stay close as friends, then on the court, we'll be unstoppable.
You see, Chris, you see selfishness all over the place in sports, not just basketball, and especially at the prep level. Young guys trying to get theirs, trying to make a name for themselves as they want to play at the next level. Of course, you're heading to Florida, LaRon to Illinois. Why do we not see that selfishness with this squad?
We found out last year that if you're selfish, it's not going to work out good in the end. We had to play as a team, and we failed to do that last year, and that's why we didn't make it far. But this year, we're having fun, playing together, playing it like a family. We're just making sure everybody's happy, and we're just playing real well together, bonding with the new pieces we have, and it's really working well for us this year.
There's no doubt you guys have a bullseye on your back. What's it like, LaRon, going out there every single game knowing you have to bring your A game or somebody may knock you off because they want to beat the Spartans so bad?
I mean, it's a good feeling to know that, everybody want to get you. And then, we don't take it as pressure, because we've been here before. We always had a bullseye on our backs, being ranked. We've been ranked before, so we know the feeling, and we know that regardless of who we playing, we got to bring our A game because anybody could have a great game the game they play us.
Chris, do you agree with LaRon that there's really no pressure, although, again, you're the hunt kit as opposed to the hunter?
Yeah, I don't think it's much pressure on us. It's just a good feeling to have, to know that we're that target and everybody's coming for us. It lets us know that we're doing what we're supposed to do, and we're a great team, and people want to beat us to prove that they're trying to be like us. And hard to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Jesus, obviously you're one of the top-ranked teams in the nation this season. Can White Station be a perennial top 25 team nationally, as good and as strong as this area is, Memphis, producing basketball players and teams?
I think we can. I think it's the talent is here. I think it's just a matter of somehow along the line we're going to have to get kids, and not so much kids, but also everybody associated with the kids to play basketball, that, change their mentality about understanding the team is more important than the individuality.
Right.
You have to be, because at the end, even the way society is going, you're talking about one voice, everybody listen to one voice, everybody doing the same thing. Success brings success for everybody. I know it's hard to believe it, especially when you're teenagers. It's hard to sell parents on that because they want what's best for their kids. But, somehow I've been fortunate to have these guys and another group of guys that they understood that, and they believed that was the truth about being together and winning together. We create more success for everybody else. And, you can look at our record at White Station. We got kids all over the country playing basketball and doing well academically.
When you play at White Station, you expect to play some of the best teams around the nation and play in some of the best tournaments. So you guys were out in Hawaii in 2013, the end of, I don't know if it was November or December. In December.
Before
Christmas. What was that like going out to Hawaii, playing in a tournament, and winning the tournament?
Well, it was a great experience. It's something I never thought I'd do, especially in high school, maybe once I got to college. But it was a great experience just being over there with a group of people that I'm real close with. We're like a family. And it was really like a vacation with just a couple basketball games in it because we had a lot of free time and went sightseeing and everything.
You always hear the coach say it's a business trip, and you say it's a vacation. You were able to mix pleasure with doing what you were there for, and that was to win the tournament. So, LeRon, was that tough to go to Hawaii, that beautiful area, so many things to do, and to be able to concentrate on what you had to do between the lines on that court?
No, I don't think it was tough. I see it as a blessing. We there playing doing what we do most, what we love to do most, play basketball, and just being there with, we family, so we're just there with our family, So before games, we got a lot of time to relax and do stuff. So I don't think it was tough, because we so close that we try to use that, spending time together, to take that to the court so that we play together.
Jesus, how big was that tournament as far as the notoriety nationally for this program?
It's a great tournament because, it's sponsored by Nike, and Nike brings everybody in, and all the top teams from all over the country comes in. And then, and once you win that tournament, it goes so nationally. So for us, we've been there before. I took Joe Jackson to that tournament. We finished fourth, I think, the first time. So I kind of got lucky and got invited again. And I told these guys, man, they love it. Chris was signing autograph in the back of cell phones to the kids. I mean, it was just fun, but also the competition was great coaching. And we knew if we can do well there, they may put us as a public school, in a bit of situation where we get better ranking. We're talking about a public school,
right? And
we're all there ranked with all the private schools around the United States in the top. So that's what that tournament did for us.
Chris, how neat is it to be here in Memphis, born in Memphis? You know how good these teams are and these players are, and to be at the top of the heap.
Memphis is like the best city, I think, in America as far as basketball talent. So being at the top is just a great feeling. It's a blessing to know that we have a talented group like this, and all of us attend the same school, and we're just this close. And it could have been at any other school, but we all came to White Station, and we just bonded real well, and it's a great feeling.
Ron, you've been in Memphis since you were 10. You were born in Omaha. I know you guys are friends with a lot of guys that play for other schools. What's it like when you run into them? Do you talk to these guys a lot, or do you try to stay away during the season? Or is there a little trash talking going on with other team members from other teams around the city?
I mean, before games, we may say what's up, but on the court, us, White Station, we're a family, but nobody else is part of that family when we're on the court. There's no friends on the court, so people we cool with off the court, we're not going to be cool with them on the court because we got a goal and we're going to meet that goal.
Jesus, let's talk about these two guys right here. Give me a sentence or two on Chris and LeRon as a player, as a player?
As players, relentless. You know, kids with really a mission. You know, they play consistently, aggressively. They are true to their teammates. They will have tremendous careers in college because of their character and the way they approach things. So, you know, I expect great things out of them.
All right, Chris, describe your game for everyone.
I'm just a true point guard and try to get my teammates involved. And time calls for it, I can score.
Do you feel better when you make that dish for a bucket or when you hit a shot?
Definitely when I make the dish. It just gets the crowd just as hype, and I think more hype when I make a great pass. No look, alley to LeBron, something like that.
What guards in the NBA do you emulate? Who do you like watching and maybe trying to emulate their game on the court?
A Chris Paul, and now my favorite point guard, Kyrie Irving.
On the Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron, your game for everybody who don't know it already.
I'm just a motor player. I play off my motor, so I play really hard and I get a lot of rebounds, and my mid-range shot pretty well, and I'm a good slasher.
And a finisher.
And a finisher, yes, sir.
What players do you look up to in the NBA?
I like Thaddeus Young a lot and Paul George.
Okay, Thaddeus Young, of course, a Memphian. Jesus, they described their game to everyone. Now, what do you think Chris first and then LeBron have to work on at the next level to be more of a complete player? Obviously, they're very, very good at what they do, but everybody can get better.
Right. Well, the biggest thing, the big adjustment for them is going to be, you know, their basketball IQ had to go to a different level. You know, at that level, you're going to play equal talent or, you know, talent a little better than you.
Right.
So you're going to have to make those adjustments. They also have to make the adjustment on their bodies. You know, they're going to have to get a little stronger because the people they're going to play are older and stronger than they are. And I think being in our place, being at White Station and being exposed the way we exposed them, I think we're proud to say that our staff, they will have a good foundation. And then, you know, the other stuff will come adjusting to a new type of game. Again, they have to be played at a higher level because then there's another level. And so I think that's going to be the biggest adjustment for both of them.
People that follow the University of Memphis expect every great player, prep player in the area to go to Memphis. Obviously, they only have so many scholarships, and everybody's not going to Memphis. What was it like with recruitment? LeBron, let me start with you. I assume Memphis was looking at you. Did you ever get an offer from Memphis? And talk about your decision to take your talents to Illinois.
Yeah, I got an offer from Memphis. Coach Spencer was actually my first offer. And I mean, we had fell off at one point, but when he hired Robert Kirby, me and Coach Kirby he had offered me when he was at Georgetown, and then he was at LSU, and he had just been recruiting me, so he had been in the process the whole time. And they were in my last three schools when I had cut it down to Illinois, Indiana, and Memphis. And I just feel like it's in God's will for me to leave the city to go to Illinois and play there, because I had a closer relationship with the head coach, to whereas Memphis, I had a great relationship with assistant Robert Kirby. And I feel like if I got a better relationship with the head coach, you know, I could be a better part to the program.
It's a tough decision, isn't it? Because if you stay at Memphis, Joe Jackson, one of your former players, you become a hero. You're also scrutinized every time you make a mistake. You go away, you don't have to worry about that, but then again, you come home and you're the enemy. So is it that tough a decision to make?
I mean, as far as the people, I mean, it doesn't affect me, because I know I'm not playing for fans and stuff like that. I'm playing for God, because he blessed me with the talent. So that's who I go out there and play for every night. So, I mean, people, regardless of how I'm playing or me leaving, I feel like people still going to love me because of my personality. People going to be mad, of course, at the beginning, but people who really there for me and really love who I am, they still going to love me regardless.
Chris, how about you as far as recruitment?
I got offered from Memphis over the 11th grade summer coming into this year, but I just felt that Florida was a better choice because Billy Donovan, I think he's the best coach in college basketball, and he always does well with point guards around my size, and they like to play small guards. And they're a fast-paced team, And he was a point guard in the NBA itself, so he just got the brain of a point guard. And I just felt like that was the best situation. And that he would help me get to the next level if it's in God's will for me to get there. And I think he's just a great person. So even if I don't make it, I think he'll have opportunities for me, maybe coaching or something like that.
How tough of a decision was it for you?
It was kind of tough. I always wanted to stay home, go to the home school, and since I was little, but I just felt it was a better choice for me to go to Florida, get away from Memphis.
Coach, what words of advice do you give to your players? Because we see with Chris and LeRon, they're going elsewhere. With Joe, he stayed in town. You know the highs and lows that come with both moves.
You know, it's a tough decision because Memphis is such a good, basketball school. You know, they got a lot of tradition in Memphis too. But at the same time, you have to think about, they have so many choices. People, from all over the country comes in our school to recruit. And the biggest choices is, do I fit in? What do I want to do with my talent? Who do I feel more comfortable with? Who's recruiting me the best? So with them, I always, it's a family decision. I'm just there to be an advisor. So we put everything in perspective, what the team has, what talent they got coming back, what are the possibility of, if you have a dream to play at the next level, can you develop there? Can you do the things that we do? We did the same thing with Andre Hollins and Joe. Joe had over all the way from Kansas to Duke and everywhere else.
Right.
But Joe, he wanted to stay in Memphis. Chris loves Memphis. He always wanted to go to Memphis. And it was hard for him to make that decision, even to the last minute. He still called me and said, Coach, I said, Chris, it's a tough decision.
Yeah.
You're just going to have to decide, though, but you got to listen. You got to decide by really listening where can you develop and where you get the opportunity. Because I feel like Joe being in Memphis was a lot of pressure for him, and Joe was never as good as I thought he was going to be his freshman year. And it wasn't because he couldn't play, it was because it was a lot of pressure. He never understood that.
Yeah.
He was looked as the savior of the program, which he has done that in the last few years. But
yeah, you hear about the pressure,
yeah.
but until you actually go through
feel it, it's tough. So I told them that, it's a lot of factors, but at the end, the decision is made through family and them. Because I don't want them to look back and say, Coach, you give me bad advice. So I don't give advice in regard, this is where you need to go. What I do is I give advice based on, I sometimes make harder for them when they even decide to go somewhere. I say, do you really want to go there?
Right.
And I try to persuade them to think about it real hard. And once they say, yeah, that's where I want to go, I say, hey, I'm fine with it.
Well, you made those decisions early, you signed, it didn't linger, so you were able to go into your senior years and concentrate on the goal at hand. And I would imagine, LeRon, that's to win a state championship.
Yes, sir. I mean, last season, I was back and forth with committing to Baylor, and then I decommitted in January. So, I mean, for me, last year was tougher to play with all the recruitment process on my mind, and this year it's all gone. I feel relaxed, relieved, and I feel like that's why I'm playing so much better basketball, and the rest of my teammates, Chris signed, we playing so much better because we ain't got to worry about none of that. We know that we got scholarships and we signed with colleges.
That's a great point. Chris, again, anything less than a state championship, would it be disappointing?
Our goal is a national championship.
National championship.
Yes, sir.
Well, talk about that. You think you can get it accomplished?
I know we can. The question is, are we going to do it? We got to keep playing as a team. And if we play as a team, I don't think anybody in the country can beat us. And I think we have the best shot at doing it, just with the pieces we have and how close we are on the court.
Coach, we'll wrap it up with what we started with. 7 seniors. This is is this your best White Station team?
No, it's hard to say, different personalities. The Joe bunch was 7 seniors too. I'd be interested to see them play against each other. I think it'd be a tremendous game, but I think they're pretty close. But overall, I think they're better, deeper. The other 7 seniors, we had Joe, Andre, Nino, and Marvin Williams. I think those 4 will hold their own. But then after that, the other seniors weren't quite as good as the one we have. So deeper team, I think, overall. So I said yes because of their depth. The depth this year is much deeper than Joe's team.
Our final 30 seconds. State championship, national championship. Can you get it done?
Well, it's just a matter of going there and playing. The national championship is so delicate. You lose 1 game, 2 games, and you're no longer considered for it. So that's what it's a delicate thing. it's good to think about it. Hey, what is wrong with dreaming? You know, that's all I told them. If
Exactly.
you think big, you go for something big, and whatever you fall down is much better than never think about it. That's what I told them. Why not think big? I mean, what can we do? We're a public school. You don't know. When's the last time a public school has done this?
Exactly. And it may not only be a dream, it may be reality after it's all said and done. So, guys, you're making the city of Memphis proud. Laurent, thank you so much. Congratulations on your decision to go to Illinois. Chris, on your decision to go to Florida. And Jesus, again, thank you so much for bringing the guys along. Continued success with this team and, of course, with the program for years to come. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We appreciate it. We'll take a short break. When we come back, overtime is coming your way. Major League Baseball Hall of Famer George Brett was recently in the Bluff City as the guest speaker for a University of Memphis baseball fundraiser. Brett, who played his entire career with the Kansas City Royals, ranks 15th on the all-time hit list with 3,154 and has a career average of 305. And before he spoke at the event, Brett spoke to us. And here's a little taste of what he had to say.
One of the things I like to talk about, the importance of an education. Of all these guys going to University of Memphis, maybe 3 or 4 might sign to go play professionally. Maybe out of those 3 or 4, maybe 1 might make it to the big leagues. Wouldn't it be nice to have a college education to fall back on? I was very fortunate. I never went to college and got a chance to play basically with an expansion club. In 1971, I signed out of high school. Well, the Royals didn't become a team until 1969. So their farm system wasn't that strong. It wasn't that deep. It was pretty easy to go from rookie league to the big leagues. I never hit 300 in the minor leagues. I hit 200 my first year in the big leagues at the All-Star break with 200 at-bats. I listened to my coach. I had faith in my coach. I did what my coach told me. I gave him my soul. And 3,000 hits later, I made it in the Hall of Fame. So there's adjustments to be made at every level, I guess. And I guess one of the things is just enjoy baseball as long as you can, because someday it's going to be a very sad day when you take that uniform off for the last time. It happened to me in 1993. It happened to a son of mine in college last year at St. Thomas University, and it just happened to my son who's a sophomore at Kansas University. He was told he was no longer on the team. And they were devastated. Some due to injury, some due to not performing well. My middle son that was KU had major shoulder surgery, never gained his velocity back as a pitcher, and the coach said, "You don't throw hard enough, you're not on the team anymore." Well, he was devastated. And so just enjoy it as much as you can. Be a good teammate, be a good team player. Winning is important. And just be a good individual. That's it.
He talked a lot about respecting the game and playing the game the right way. And the big thing that we're stressing with this year's team is trust. And he talked a lot about trust. So that was just phenomenal. And, obviously he would not be here tonight if it wasn't for his friendship with Brad Martin. And what Brad has done for our entire university and especially our athletic department in his short term here is remarkable. And this is just a small part of what Brad's doing. But he has found a way to reach out and help every program, and this is the way he's helping ours.
My brother Ken was 6 years older than I was. He was drafted out of high school in 1966 by the Boston Red Sox, the 4th player taken in the draft. In 1967, at age 19, he was pitching in the World Series for the Boston Red Sox. So I looked at him and I said, well, if he can do it, I can do it, because he's my brother, It's not like I didn't know this guy, I was the youngest of 4 boys growing up, and my brothers were all better than me in everything. Basketball, I had 2 brothers better than me. Football, 2 brothers were better than me. Baseball, they were all 3 better than I was. But for some reason, some scout saw something in me and drafted me in the 2nd round in 1971. And to be honest with you, when I got drafted and I signed, I didn't think I was going to make it to the major leagues. And 3 years later, 2.5 years later, I was in the big leagues. But he saw something. It wasn't the ability, it wasn't raw ability, but it was the desire to get better. And the desire and the love and the respect that I had for the game of baseball, and I think that's why they drafted me so high.
Before we say goodnight, 2 quick updates on a pair of guests we've previously had on the show. Lausanne Collegiate School head football coach Ken Netherland, the state of Tennessee's all-time leader in prep football wins with 368, announced his retirement from the game and will be replaced by assistant Kevin LeCastro. Netherland started the Lynx football program from scratch in 2011. In 2013, their first year as a varsity program, they went 6-3. And congrats to former University of Memphis soccer star Mark Sherrod, who was taken in the second round of the recent MLS Super Draft by the Houston Dynamo. Sherrod was the 32nd overall pick. The Knoxville native ranks third on the Tigers' all-time goals and points list. And that'll do it for the show. Remember, you can see any of our previous programs by going to WKNO.org and clicking on KNO Tonight. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.